The mystery surrounding the death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells is only growing. The Mississippi college football player disappeared during a 4th of July boat trip to Horn Island. It's a remote barrier island about 10 miles off the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And after a massive search, his body was found in the water 2 days later. And right now, investigators say they believe Wells likely drowned, having found no evidence of foul play. But they haven't released the final autopsy or toxicology report, and the investigation remains active. And there are so many questions right now. There are so many theories. You know, some online have claimed that Wells was involved in a fight, that he was beaten, that his body was later dumped into the water. There are others who have suggested he made it off the island alive, died somewhere else before his body ended up in the Gulf. Authorities have to be clear, authorities haven't said that they have evidence to support either of those theories. But Wells' family has hired civil rights attorney Ben Crump, ordered an independent autopsy, says there are still serious concerns about who last saw him and why he was left on that island, why his cell phone was recovered separately from his body, whether evidence from that phone may have been altered in some way. And here's another twist. One of Wells' friends is now publicly challenging one of the biggest pieces of evidence driving all this online speculation. He says this viral video that many believe showed Wells in a heated argument doesn't show him at all. He says he's the person yelling in the video, not Nolan, insisting their friend group had nothing to do with Nolan's death and is urging people to let the facts come out before rushing to judgment. So what really happened to Nolan Wells? What is happening right now behind the scenes? Earlier today, I spoke with attorney Eric Bland. Why? Because Bland represents the family of Stephen Smith, a South Carolina teen whose body was found in the middle of a rural road in 2015. This is the whole Alec Murdaugh thing, right? For years, investigators believed that his death was a hit and run, but his family never accepted that conclusion, pushing for more answers as questions mounted about what really happened. Now, while these are different cases, you do see similarities here. Teen deaths, questions about the narrative, families looking for answers. What should we be thinking about right now as we talk about Nolan Wells? Here's my conversation with Eric Bland. Eric, good to see you. Thanks for taking the time. My first question to you is, this is a very unique circumstance that Nolan Wells' family find themselves in. What advice would you give them as they're navigating this, right? Not only navigating the loss of Nolan, but also trying to find out what happened, how they try to get answers from investigators, whether or not it's the full picture. What advice would you give them?
Tenacious. Get the public involved. Don't give up. Demand answers. Ask for cooperation between local law enforcement and if there's state law enforcement investigating. Demand answers from those that have been on the island. Make sure that they participate in an investigation. If they have nothing to hide, they should voluntarily come forward and say, hey, this is what I saw. This was the last time I saw Nolan, or, you know, I heard some words exchanged. I didn't see what's happening. But Jesse, these are children. These are kids, teenagers, young adults. They have phones. With the number of people that were there on that island, that barrier island, somebody has taken videos all along during the day that they could piece together a timeline. And so I understand that the natural inclination and the right thing to do is to essentially lawyer up if you are one of the closer friends or the closer acquaintances to Nolan. But if people don't have anything to hide, they should participate in an investigation.
What is the role of hiring an attorney? What's the role of a Ben Crump in a situation like this?
Well, some people would say that it's to agitate, to create discord. I don't think that's the purpose. I think the purpose is he's a well-respected lawyer. He's had very good national success on these type of cases, just to make sure that there is a continued dialogue between the parents and law enforcement. This is a wonderful, wonderful family. You hear them speak on television. They are suffering an immeasurable loss. Nolan was a very good kid by all presentation. He was in community college. He was a football player, well-liked. just because he was the only African American on the island shouldn't in and of itself say, well, it was automatically a racial situation or a racial crime, or he died some way other than drowning. But it has to be looked at that way. That's the lens of society that we're in right now.
We're still in the early stages of this, but when you look at it through your lens, do you say, I see similarities to Stephen Smith? In other words, I can understand why a family would hire a lawyer. I understand why they'd ask for a further investigation. Do you see any kind of similarities right now?
Yes and no. Obviously, it's the loss of a child that is so unexpected, and law enforcement, by nature, doesn't share information along the way in an investigation. They don't want to tip their hand. They want to see who trips up. They're going to question this person and verify what the other person said. So it's a natural tension between a mother like Stephen Smith's mother, Sandy Smith, wanting to find out what happened, wanting the law enforcement to share information. But the law enforcement, they can't share information. They can't affect an investigation. They don't want to make a misstep. They'll be criticized either way. But whatever they can share with the public, it would help. The more sunlight on this, the better it's going to be.
And I should also mention, and we've talked about this before, one of the things that Ben Crump has been instrumental in is facilitating the ordering of this independent autopsy. Why is that important?
Just like us. Well, that's the cause of death, because, you know, was the conclusion reached by the coroner too quickly that it was, you know, an accidental death, it was a drowning? Even if it was a drowning, was that a forced drowning? Did he get thrown off the boat? Did somebody throw him a life? Did not throw him a life preserver or try to save him? We did the same thing with Stephen Smith. We exhumed his body. We sent it off to specialists and experts in Florida, and the conclusion was reached a little differently than the coroner, Dr. Presnell, who did Stephen's autopsy at the time he died in 2015. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that body being sent to Washington, D.C. Listen, parents deserve answers. That's the number one thing. Let's give the parents answers, because they deserve peace. They deserve to be able to properly mourn the loss of their child. There always is going to be that time for, well, somebody should be criminally charged. But let's see if we could get the answers right now for these parents. They're wonderful people. They're not screaming for vengeance. They're not making outrageous demands. They just want answers.
He's 100% right. The family needs answers. My thanks again to Eric Bland. His podcast is called Cup of Justice.